Here, I have worked a little bit on this pedal off camera, and mostly just sort of slowing down and not just managing how much water actually, because it will all collect and pool right here, and then if you're trying to put paint there, it's just gonna, it's always gonna be painting into too much water, and it's never gonna actually go onto the paper. So I just let it dry a little bit more. I wet that whole shape and I let it dry a little bit more, and I'm going to grab some, with a small brush, just more and more concentrated Hansa Yellow Deep. And it's good to use a small brush at this point because I don't want to bring in more water. I want things to sort of slightly blend slowly. Can I be risky and grab a little bit of Naphthol red? And that's that. Another thing I did off camera was use the colors that I'm learning about and blending over here. This cobalt teal, Emgram, and Quin pink, and make. I'm really liking this combination more and more, I tell you. But I've used that combination right here, a little bit more. Sort of starts here around the, and then moves towards, kind of moves down this way. Well, I suppose it sort of started out here. Anyways, I'm going to use that color a little bit more, actually on this background one right here. And then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do next. I'll be using that same combination in this shape, but let's see. I want mostly I already put a little bit of purple, so what I want to do now for this shape is to bring in a little bit of this mix, but mostly cobalt teal, not that much. Let's see. Yeah, that's too much. It's kind of changing up which direction that shape is leaning now. It's going to be leaning towards purpley, grayish green. Trying to scrub a little bit there. That's not moving though. I think I'm also going to do something similar for this down here. This has always been a shape I've never quite been sure what color-wise to do with. Values, I have a certain couple things that are making sense, but so what I'm doing is I'm both kind of scrubbing and lifting a little bit. Moving some of the color around. Using a soft brush. That was a little bit of the teal and pink. That'll build up. I think I know what I'm going to do with that, so that's good. Since I'm using that color, I want to show you what I would do to start getting some of that color into this shape, but still do it in a blended fashion. And you may be able to already figure this out, but I'm going to wet down with clean water and try not to lift up any of this yellow. Just going to wet that shape. I'm going to go back and get a little bit more water. It's good to go back and get plenty of water in your brush, because if there's not plenty of water, you'll start pressing down too much over this shape to try to squeeze out some of the water, and in that pressing down you will activate some of that yellow. So now I just have this shape wet. Try to run a little bit extra off there. And I'm going to introduce a little bit of this teal pink kind of mix. And I'm going to do it sort of just mixing on the page. I'm not looking at my reference, which is not the smartest thing right now, but I know that there's various and sundry colors like this kind of going on. Seems like it got darker around there. A little bit darker there. So I'm just going back and forth a little bit, thirsty brush again, but trying to also make sure that these grays don't go down to where the yellows, too far to where the yellows are, but still get closer in a blended, graded fashion. This shape was still wet, and I'm not sure, but that's fine. Thirsting, picking, lifting a little bit more up there. I know I'm going to be coming back to this shape to refine values and colors, so I'm not too worried about it, exactly where things are, but I want to get a nice foundational layer in there. That's fun. I like that combo in a grayed out sort of fashion. And at this point, I'm going to flip this around. Start making this underside. Maybe I'll move you guys away. This underside I know is of the leaf is going to get dark, dark, and what I'm going to do is mix a little, and I haven't played with this mix in class, but it's another fun one when I want to make green really cool and dark, cool temperature-wise. I will mix it with ultramarine blue, which is another really fun mix. And yeah, that's getting pretty dark, but that's how I want it. And I might even it's like I was doing over here, try mixing some of it on the paper. So I'm just introducing a little more blue in one area, popping it in, and a little more green or blue-green in another area, just to sort of change things up. Makes each shape sort of that much more interesting. And I'm going to do that similar thing in this top above the sky shape area. A little bit bigger brush. I might still stay with some phthalo blue, but I'm going to use phthalo green and some ultramarine blue, especially for over here. Nice. Careful not to go over that. Maybe some more green. These background shapes are good to practice this mixing on the page. Because they're really just going to kind of get, you can do some scrubbing out and some beating up in general, and sort of the more of that you do on the background shapes, like I think I've said, the more backgroundy they get, so that's nice. That was a little bit more ultramarine blue. So yeah, any of those combinations of the blue and green, and heck, I could dump some yellow in there if I felt like it, some Hansa yellow light, just to see what happened, to green it up a little more. What if I actually squeezed it out? So this is another good example where I'm really not thinking color nearly as much as I'm thinking value. I know I want it to get really dark over here, so that could be either, you know, pretty much straight ultramarine blue, maybe a little bit of green as well. Maybe over here right next to the petal too. So I think I want to let that dry, these things dry, before moving on. So I will do that.